Erica here, and I'm here today to do a review. I know I've been promising a lot of review videos for a while, and I just have not had the time in May to plan or film and edit them. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to get caught up now, so I'm getting caught up with some reviews of books that I've read in March and April and in May as well. And today I wanted to talk about The Story of My Teeth by Valeria Luiselli. This was originally published in 2013, but was just translated from Spanish into English in 2015 by Christina MacSweeney. This edition is published by Coffee House Press, and Valeria Luiselli was born in Mexico. She grew up, though, in South Africa, which is very interesting, and I believe that she currently resides in the United States. So, a really interesting author. And the way that she wrote this book is super intriguing as well. This book was written with the help of factory workers in a juice factory in Mexico. So what Valeria Luiselli did is that she would send the book in installments to the factory workers, and they would listen to it while they worked. And from what I gathered from the information provided in this book is that storytelling like that is kind of a long-standing tradition for factory workers. It makes the time go by faster. And so she kind of took hold of that tradition and used it to help get this book published. While the workers were listening to the book, they were also being recorded. And so they would listen to that specific chapter of the book, and then they would kind of discuss what had happened, what they liked, what they didn't like, how it tied into their own stories and their own lives, and Valeria Luiselli received those recordings in return. So during the entire process of writing this book, she was taking input and feedback from these factory workers in Mexico, and she was also, taking these stories of their lives and kind of extracting from them and inserting them into the book as well, which is totally fascinating. So this is a slim little volume. It's about, it's 195 pages if you read all of the endnotes and everything, and there's a little chapter at the back about kind of her process in writing the book if you're interested in hearing more about that. So it's about 195 pages, and it's the story of a character named Highway. Highway's a middle-aged man living in Mexico, and he loses his long-time job as a security worker. And he kind of spirals into a bit of a midlife crisis. He gets divorced, and he decides to become an auctioneer. So he travels all over the U.S. and North America, Central America, and decides that he's going to be the greatest auctioneer that's ever lived, and he starts studying all these theories on auctioning items off and how to do it and storytelling and things of that nature, which is very interesting. The title, The Story of My Teeth, comes from Highway's most famous auction, the one that he really went all out on, and it's an auction in which he auctions off teeth, individual teeth, and he auctions them off as the teeth of famous historical figures for the most part. So, one of the teeth is Plato's, and one is Virginia Woolf's, and people like that, which is really fascinating. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really beautifully written. It's not super hard to follow, but it is a little hard to follow. Highway is a very unreliable narrator. I think he might be a little bit insane. He's a very intense character, and through his intensity, there are a lot of very comedic elements to this book. He's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, he's very soulful, and he's very reflective, and he's telling the story of his life in this auction. And there are certainly some kind of bizarre elements to this book that I don't want to talk about too much because I don't want to spoil it at all, but some of the things that happen to Highway, you're like, really? Really? And it's told in such a way that nothing is true and everything is true at the same time, which I know is a really vague and kind of cliche thing to say, but of all of the books I read this year so far, I feel like that phrase kind of applies to this one most of all. The book itself is told through 8 different sections, so there are 8 different books, and at the beginning of each book there's this really interesting illustration of teeth, and whatever section of the book you're on, that's how many teeth are kind of filled in. So later on, you can see when you get to part 5. That's how that looks. So it's a really beautifully constructed book. It has these crazy end papers that kind of look like cells under a microscope. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoy unreliable narrators. I really enjoy Mexican literature in general. I find that there's something very rich about Mexican storytelling, and also very intimate, which I really appreciate. And so I ended up giving this book 4 stars overall. If you have read it or if you have any questions about it, I'd love to talk about it in the comments, and I will see you all next time. Bye.